Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum friends. Welcome back to the latest transfer update which we're going to have for this evening. I'm sure that you guys will be quite excited right now. What do we have to report? I was just gathering some news and it took me some time because today's Sunday. It's not that much happening. Just as we know that there's international break going on right now as well. I'm sure that by next week things will get starting heating up. Players will be leaving for holidays. Then there'll be talks about pre-season, and most probably the transfer stories will start to get more and more mature. And I'm sure that many clubs are working behind the scenes. The season is already over. Some of the clubs, they do start to work around the month of March, April, and most clubs, they do have an idea what do they want, what do they require, and in some cases, just before the season is finishing, the deal is ready and they just need to announce it, and sometimes they do. Erling Haaland was a pretty good example of that one. It was done and sorted, and Manchester City, they know what they want, what they wanted. They went out, they bought the player, and that's what they did. Now, what we're going to do is we'll be speaking about the stories which have come up so far right now. We're going to be speaking about many clubs. I'll just give you an idea what clubs are we going to be going through. We'll be speaking about Brentford. We'll be speaking about Roma, Tottenham. We'll be speaking about them as well. We're going to be speaking about Arsenal. So Tottenham and Arsenal, both of them, we'll be going to be speaking about them. We're going to be speak about Fulham in a way because they have been linked with a player who is an Arsenal player. We're going to be speaking about Brentford, and then later we'll be speaking about Newcastle United because it seems that Newcastle United are going to be the club to watch out for in this summer transfer window. So what we're going to do is we're going to be starting with Brentford. Let's start with Brentford, and we're going to talk about Brentford. Brentford, the way they have apparently what they have been doing so far by now, the way they have progressed themselves, the way they have, you could say, implemented their business plan in regarding to the players' transfers have been really exceptional. They've done quality purchases. They have got good quality players. They look at the transfer market in a complete different manner as the other clubs do. There was an article regarding the owner of the Brentford. Apparently, he used to be a bookie. Apparently, he was interested in betting or something. He was good in sport betting. He used to create models, and using that model system, he earned some serious cash, serious capital. And after doing that, he wanted to invest in football, and he had an opportunity to get Brentford, and he did that. Then he implemented those model studies into the club, and with that, they were so successful that they're right now sitting in the Premier League. And you guys have seen how they play, how they operate, how are they in terms of quality. And we're going to be speaking about them right now. There's a player called Eriksen who has played for Brentford. He has been getting interest from many various clubs as well as from one of his old club, Tottenham. But it has come to the report that Eriksen does understand the importance of Brentford offering him the chance to play for them, and the 6-month contract was that reflection from Brentford towards the player. Now, Eriksen has got many interest from the other teams as well. He is considering them. Now, this news has come in that Brentford have apparently offered him a new contract, and Eriksen would be willing to consider that contract. Now, if he can get that kind of feeling which he did get from Brentford, so it might be a reason for him to stay at Brentford for long. Now, if Eriksen doesn't get an important offer from any other bigger clubs, it wouldn't be a surprise that Eriksen might re-sign with Brentford, and he might become a player because Brentford would be getting a very exceptional player, very good player, and on free as well. They would just have to offer him good wages, and Eriksen would be comfortable because the club is in London and he has been living in London with Tottenham Hotspur. Now, is he needed by Antonio Conte? Nothing has come up so far in the newspaper. The name which came up was Richarlison from Everton. So if Richarlison is going to be playing on the wing, that puts in the question. Son operates on the left hand side. On the right hand side, it's Kulusevski. So where would Richarlison play? Are they preparing to sell Harry Kane? Don't think so. Haven't heard anything regarding Harry Kane. So does that mean that Richarlison will operate in that number 10 position? Let's see what happens. But I think Eriksen is going to wait out for a little bit more time. He's going to see and check out the market. If he gets a good offer from any other serious club, then he might go and sign. And if he doesn't, then it wouldn't be a surprise if he re-signs for Brentford. Now moving on, we'll be talking about another player which has come into notice is Max Aarons of Norwich. He is of interest to many clubs, but Brentford have been reported one of those clubs who are seriously interested in him. They would want to get him. They think that there is something special about the player and they would want to get him, and they're quite serious in order to sign him. Now, Max Aarons was once reported that he was close to join one of the big four teams, and getting an interest from Brentford right now and comparative to that, it just shows that because he was playing in Norwich and Norwich got relegated, so perhaps that is the reason that big clubs don't want to gamble big money on Max Aarons. And for that reason, Max Aarons is going to be looking for a club who would give him an opportunity in which he is able to play and showcase his skills and improve himself in a team which would enhance his performance. And for that case, I think I do understand why Brentford would be a perfect club for him, and he would get to live in London as well. London is a big appeal as a city, so that's what the case is right now. Now going forward, I'll be speaking about an old horse called Matic. It has been reported that the talks have been finalized between him and Roma. He will be joining Roma on a 1-year deal. The talks have been taking place between him and Jose Mourinho. So Roma are going to be offering him that 1-year contract, not a 2-year contract. But Matic is willing to join Jose Mourinho. He has played under him in Chelsea. He played under him in Manchester United. And he would be playing under him in Roma for the third time. So Matic will be leaving the shows and he will be joining Roma, and he'll be joining Serie A. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back to London. We'll be speaking about a player who plays for AZ Alkmaar. His name is Owen Wijnaldum. He's a left back. He was reported an interest to Ajax, but the news has been coming in that Tottenham Hotspurs are looking into him. The reason that they're looking into him is because Antonio Conte wants good fullbacks, and Antonio Conte tactics depends on good fullbacks. For that reason, he's trying to get Spence, and in the left back position, he's looking at Owen Wijnaldum if he is able to get him. Hello Dimba, thank you very much for tuning in. It's very nice of you that you have come and joined us in this evening. I was just giving an update. We were speaking about Eriksen. Eriksen has got an offer from Brentford. Apparently Brentford would want him to stay for more years, and Eriksen has been looking for more and more clubs, but so far it's Brentford who really want him. But let's see what does the player decide. And then we did report about Matic, who will be joining Roma. He'll be joining Jose Mourinho for the third time, and it's gonna be, that's not a problem, Dinba, that's not a problem. And as for Owen Wijnaldum, we were discussing about him, that Owen Wijnaldum is a key target for Tottenham. So Tottenham are going to get Spence and they're going to get Owen Wijnaldum. So that means Tottenham are going to be selling two fullbacks. So it could be one right back and one left back. Now who that left back might be? It might be that they might be willing to sell Reguilon, and they might be willing to sell Doherty, and that's what Antonio Conte wants. He wants to invest in the full-backs position. If he gets Spence, if he gets Owen Wijnaldum, it's going to be pretty exciting time for Tottenham, because Tottenham have already been linked to Everton for Richarlison. So those will be three key additions by Tottenham. Now we're going to be moving on to the North London, and we'll be speaking about Arsenal right now. It has been reported that Arsenal are interested in not one wingers but two wingers. Now this came a surprise and a shock to me. It has been reported that Arsenal are willing to speak to Rafinha from Leeds United, and not only him, they are willing to at least explore for a chance that if they can get Gerard Bowen. Now this came a shock to me, like it came out of nowhere. I don't know who's reporting it. Now if Arsenal are trying to target Rafinha and Gerard Bowen, it's like wow, like it's huge, because the fact of the matter is none of these players are going to come for cheap. And do Arsenal have that amount of money, like to get Rafinha and Gerard Bowen and then get a striker? And you know, it means that Arsenal, they haven't qualified for the Champions League. So how come they're going to bring this much finance? They would want to sell Pepe, and I'm not sure that they would get that much amount of money. They could recoup that kind of amount of money which they invested in him and go for these targets. Now I investigated about this, that how much truth is there in Gerard Bowen to Arsenal, and what I found out was that the agency who is representing Gerard Bowen is the same agency for Rafinha. Now, does it mean that Arsenal are interested in both of the players? In my perspective, what I think is that Arsenal are interested in either of those two players. But if you would say to me that Arsenal are interested in both of the players, it doesn't make sense financially, because Arsenal key target area is the striker. Although they have got Nketiah who would be willing to sign the new contract, in my perspective, I think Arsenal need that striker. Lacazette has joined Lyon. They don't have any striker. Aubameyang went to Barcelona, so I think it's gonna be a big pull if they can pull these two wingers. I still think Gerard Bowen is gonna cost them a lot, and so that is why I wasn't sure, but this has been coming in strongly that Arsenal are interested in Gerard Bowen. So let's see if that comes to fruition. We'll wait and see. Now with Arsenal, there's a player, they have a goalkeeper called Bernd Leno. Apparently Ramsdale has made his position in the first 11 quite solid for last season. He is the starting goalkeeper for the Gunners, and Leno has been sitting on the sideline. Now for that reason, Fulham, who have just been promoted to the Premier League, they are interested in a goalkeeper. They would want to sign Bernd Leno from Arsenal. The fee reported is in between the region of 10 to 12 million. Now Arsenal would want to raise some serious cash, and I can expect if Ramsdale is going to be number one, then they don't need Leno, and perhaps Leno will be moving over across the London and towards the south neighbours, and we might see him playing in that white shirt. So Leno to Fulham, guys, that's what we have. Now we'll be moving on to Newcastle United. As I said to you guys earlier, that we'll be speaking about Newcastle United a lot. Now there is a player called Ekitike. He plays for Reims. He plays for that team plays in Ligue 1 in France. Now this guy was reported back in January. It was reported that Newcastle United wanted to get him at all cost, but due to the fact of the matter was that Newcastle United went in late and the team didn't want to sell him. Everything was agreed, but there was something, you could say, a difference between a fee, and for that reason the deal faltered, and both of the clubs stayed in contact. They were still speaking to each other about that deal. Now, as soon as the season was ending, it was reported that the player would be willing to join Newcastle United. Everything was agreed again between both of the clubs, and now the player got injured and the deal is in the balance. It might happen, it might not happen. I think what is going to be is that Newcastle United have done their work so much that I don't think so they can take a step back. Now if Eddie Howe has other plans in that position, if he thinks that there's other replacement, I know that clubs always work like this. If you can't have your option A, you go for option B. If you don't get your option B, you go for option C. But if you are waiting for a player for 6 to 8 months and you're certain that you want that player, an injury shouldn't be letting you kind of putting off. But in Newcastle United perspective, I think they would want to start things as much early as they can, and that injury might be a hurdle for them. So what the experts are saying, what the journalists are saying, the Newcastle United people are saying that they will sign the player. It's just going to be a delay, but they're for sure going to sign the player because they've done so much work on him. There's so much scouting being done on him. There's so much work done on him that he is the number one target for Newcastle United. So I think this deal will happen, but it will happen late. Now moving on to Botman, this came out as a surprise. AC Milan were so close to this man. This guy is going to be a really good centre back. I think people are underestimating how good is he. I do know that he plays for Lille in French league. It's not that you could say it's a good league. I've seen many games in that league. It's not that as bad as people think so. It's not a farmers league. It's a good league. The teams, they do give a tough challenge. They do tend to give that kind of ability. And remember guys, from this league, remember Kamavinga came, and Kamavinga joined Real Madrid and he won the Champions League. From the same league, Tchouaméni has joined Real Madrid. So no matter whatever you say about the league, this is the league which is producing the future players, the big game players, the big match player, and perhaps a world-class player and maybe a global superstar. So you can't take this league as a joke. And it has been said that Botman, he has interest not of one club or two clubs or three clubs. There are at least 6 to 7 clubs who are interested in him. Now he offers something that they're saying that it's almost like a proper solidification, and every team is looking to acquire him because his price is quite suitable, it's affordable. That is the reason Newcastle United haven't given it up on him. They want to have him, they want to acquire this player, they're willing to offer him good wages, and they think this deal faltering with AC Milan helps them by swaying Botman towards them. So don't be surprised if Newcastle United hurry up their affairs and get Botman and sign him as a new Newcastle United player. So this is what right now Newcastle United are trying to do for their defense. Now moving on, there's another name which I just found out like about 1.5 hours ago. Newcastle United, they're looking for another player, another ex-player of Eddie Howe. Is Nathan Ake, who plays for Manchester City. Now Nathan Ake haven't got that much of a game time in City. He has won the Premier League, he has won other titles. Now if he wants to play a bit part player, that's up to him. He is being selected in the Netherlands national team. But if Newcastle United do offer him good wages, offer him a starting place, and imagine if they offer him that, you know what, you can come and play for Eddie Howe, and we are trying to get another teammate of yours in Botman, who is from your country, and you both play for Newcastle United, it might appeal to him. So Newcastle United are trying to talk to Nathan Ake. They want to get him. Let's see if they do get Nathan Ake and Botman. That'll be a double Dutch signing, and Eddie Howe would be happy with these two signings. Now the last name I'm going to be speaking about is Diaby with Newcastle United. Moussa Diaby plays for Bayer Leverkusen. He's a pretty good winger. He plays on the right hand side. He also plays on the left wing. But right now what has been reported is that Bayer Leverkusen, they want to see what players they can get. If they can get a replacement for Diaby, then they would have no problem to sell him to Newcastle United for a good profit. And Newcastle United do want him. They do like the player. They've watched him a lot, and they are trying to speak to Leverkusen. Now the chances of this deal happening is, you could say that if in the region between 100%, I would say it's right now 40%. I think it all depends on what is the breakthrough in terms of valuation between both of the clubs. Once that is done, I think Moussa Diaby has no problem to join Newcastle United in Premier League. He is pretty much looking forward to, because if he does that, then he would get more and more coverage, and he would want to get selected for that France national team for the World Cup. He would want to travel to that World Cup, and in Newcastle United, he knows that's a new project, and if he's able to perform over there, then who knows that he does get that seat on the plane. And I think Newcastle United are pretty serious in this window. They are looking to at least get players in between the region of 150 to 180 million, and it wouldn't be a surprise that Newcastle United do sell 4 to 5 players, and they tend to bring in 5 to 6 new players, and those 5 to 6 players are going to be of good quality because they would be wanting to target that European place. Now, another name which I did report earlier in the morning was of Paqueta, who plays for Lyon. He's a pretty good player, he's a pretty nice player, and I'm sure that Newcastle United would want him. They would want to pair him with Bruno Guimaraes, who is an excellent acquisition by Newcastle United, and I'm sure that Bruno Guimaraes would be saying to Eddie Howe, get Paqueta, because those two, when they played for Lyon, they were quite superb, and it wouldn't be a surprise if that happens. Now, coming to other clubs, West Ham United, they're working on some deals. Everton, Dinba, they're also working on some deals. Now, the reason I'm not going to report for West Ham and Everton is because I also want to add Leicester City, because due to the fact of the matter is, I think these clubs are just going to wait down and they're going to work out with the outgoings, because Everton, they need to sell and then they will do those incomings. West Ham United, they need to sell and then they will do their incomings. Leicester City also want to sell and then they want to do incomings. Now, if you want to sell your player, it takes time, and sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes 2 weeks, sometimes it takes a month, and I think with these 3 clubs, the fans will have to be patient. And you were right, Dinba, that Tarkowski is close to signing for Everton. I think he will sign for Everton, so Frank Lampard will be getting a good quality player in terms of Premier League experience. Now, is he the best candidate? I would only leave that to Everton fans, but if you would ask me, I think they could have gone for other better players out there, but let's see what happens. Now, I'll be also speaking about Wolves. Wolves are going to be looking at their squad. They will be looking at what they can try to sell. Remember, guys, Adama Traore, he left for Barcelona. So far, no news have come in that if Barcelona are going to make that move permanent. It has been reported that Adama Traore will be joining Wolves back in the preseason. So that means that deal isn't happening. Barcelona wouldn't be wanting to pay that much money to Wolves. So Adama Traore will be coming back. Now, this is a surprise which came in. If you guys do know this guy called Ait Nouri, he plays as a left back. This news has come in as a shock and a surprise to me. Apparently, Pep Guardiola is looking for a left back in case that if Zinchenko does leave, and the player which has come up is Nouri from Wolves. If they do sign Nouri, then that's going to be a pretty big decision. So let's see. I think it's the transfer. It's nothing to do with transfer window opening. I think it has to do with selling, because most of these clubs, they would want to sell first, have the capital, and then be very careful about what they need to spend, what they need to get. Because if you do sell the player, then you have an opening in the squad, and then it's much more easier when you are trying to get a player, because the player could always question, okay, what's my position going to be? Am I going to play regular? Am I going to get the whole 90 minutes? Would you not bench me, or would you not prefer that player over me? How come he's still in the squad and you're asking me to play in his position? So these kind of questions do tend to come in, but sometimes it has to do more with financial aspects. Now, the clubs would want to have some cash in their hands when they go out for shopping, and that's what I think that is the case with Everton, West Ham United and Leicester City. Now, Leicester City are looking for potential buyers. They have players such as Tielemans, and I'm sure that Arsenal would want to get him. Then they got players such as Fofana. Now, for some reason, I don't understand why they are kind of projecting Fofana as a big player centre back. I haven't seen anything convincing about him. He is a good defender. You could say that he could do that, but I don't know if that's going to happen. What's happening with Arsenal? Are they being Tesco value? I'll come back to PSG. Let's talk about Arsenal. Arsenal, as I've said to you guys, Arsenal are speaking to an agency who have two clients. One is Gerard Bowen and Rafinha. So we do not know which particular client do they want. The concrete report that came in was of Rafinha. Now, just today, it has been reported that it might be Gerard Bowen. So let's see if that would be the case, that Arsenal go for either Gerard Bowen or Rafinha. And if that happens, it's going to be a surprise. Arsenal are also looking for Tielemans. Yes, that is correct, Dinba. That is correct. PSG are getting new manager. They will be sacking Pochettino, and the new manager will be Zidane. It is circulating, and Makalili, guys. Makalili, if you do guys remember Makalili, as we all know, the Makalili position in which Kante plays, other defensive midfielders play, that is called the Makalili position. Makalili will be the assistant manager of Zinedine Zidane. So let's see what happens. Now, in regards to Arsenal, they are also looking at Tielemans. We'll see if they are able to get Tielemans. I'm sure that Leicester City are looking for a fee between 35 to 45 million, and Tielemans hasn't got that much of a contract remaining. I think it's just a year. So in that case, it seems that Tielemans will be joining Arsenal. It's just a question about money. I think Arsenal will get Tielemans. They will get that winger, and then they will go big for that striker. So that is what's happening right now. Now, in the end, Arsenal will not get any player. They will buy a known player. No, I don't think so. I think Arsenal, they do have a budget of 80 million to 120 million. Now, Arsenal, the kind of players they're kind of targeting, they would require at least 150 to 180 million. So what Arsenal will try to do is they will try to sell some of the players. I think they will sell Bellerin. They will definitely sell Xhaka. And if they sell these two for, let's say, 30 to 40 million, and if you add that 30 to 40 million to 120, it comes up around 150 million. And if you have 150 million, you can get Rafinha, you can get Tielemans, and you can get a striker, and you can get perhaps another centre back, or maybe a midfielder. So Arsenal can do get some maneuvering in transfer market if they're able to do that. So I think Arsenal will do good in this transfer market. Now I've just spoken about Wolves, that Nuri is an of interest to Pep Guardiola, which is quite shocking and surprising, but he is. So let's see what happens in that case. Maybe Pep Guardiola is preparing for either Nathan Ake or Zinchenko or any of those two, and let's see what happens. Now, there's other club which I would want to speak about. It's Manchester United. Now, with Manchester United, this news just came in that Darwin Nunes is signing for Liverpool. Apparently, Manchester United were interested in Darwin Nunes. They were the only club which were, like, in whole context, were a lot of, you could say that they really scouted the player. And somebody also said that they did speak to Benfica about it. But suddenly, somehow, for some reason, it has just finished. There are no talks happening. Why is it happening right now? Is it because they don't have the money? Or is it because they have other interest? Now, what I can say to you is that United have got a lot of players in the attack position. And they have got the likes of Martial, they got the likes of Rashford. And if they don't sell one of those two players, then I can't see a striker happening, because Cristiano Ronaldo will be there. And if you want to buy a striker, it's going to cost you between 50 to 60 million. United haven't got that much money. So their main focus is to get Frankie de Jong, 60 million to 70 million euros. And that's a lot of money. Now, when you spend a 70 million euros on one player, then you look, okay, what else do we need? You go for the likes of Anthony, who's a winger. You go for the likes of Timber, who's a centre back. That's going to cost you about 150 million plus. So that's just 3 players. So United, you could put them in the same category as of Everton, Leicester City, and West Ham United. Now, the club which nobody's speaking about for me, is Aston Villa. Aston Villa have done excellent job in recruitment. I think their acquisition of Kamara is second to none. I think Steven Gerrard has done excellently. For me, I think if I would say that the way Aston Villa are conducting their business is quite exceptional. Now, can Steven Gerrard show that on the pitch is another question, but what they're doing behind the scenes is quite reasonable. Now, Rashford will probably go, I think. I think Rashford has a season. That's what I think. I think Rashford has one more season with Manchester United, and next season, I'm sure that Manchester United will sell him. Because United can't sell, I think, they can't get rid of 12 to 13 players. Because if you count the names of Manchester United players who are leaving on free, it's a lot of players who are leaving. Now, Nemanja Matic, Edison Cavani, Juan Mata, Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard. That's 5 players leaving on free. And then you got the likes of Phil Jones, Eric Bailly, Dean Henderson, Martial. Now, 9 players, you're just questioning them that they will leave the club. Then you got the likes of Andres Pereira, that makes it 10. Then you have somebody like, in my regard, that's what I think, like Elanga, who might leave out on loan. So in that case scenario, what I think is that United cannot afford to lose 12 to 13 players in a season. For that reason, I think Erik ten Hag would want to still see what can Rashford do if he is able to give him something. If he isn't able to do it, then I'm sure that Erik ten Hag would say, you know what, maybe Rashford has a future somewhere else, and perhaps it's time to call out the curtain for Marcus Rashford. He has done his job for Manchester United. He has been an excellent servant, and it's time to call his period at Old Trafford. So that's what I think is going to happen. Now, Manchester United, they need to sell players in order to get those players. So I am going to be putting them in that category. Whereas Aston Villa, they are doing it exceptionally well. Although now they will have to sell some players. I do know that they would want to sell the likes of Douglas Luiz. They would want to sell the likes of McGinn. Now, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was going to be in Manchester United, McGinn was joining United. And I do know for sure that Aston Villa are looking for a player. And I didn't want to report in this one. I was just waiting for the story to develop. But right now, if I would utter it, then it wouldn't make any sense. But I will let you know that there are news coming in that Aston Villa are interested in Bissouma. Now, Bissouma is a player which I think Manchester United should go for. He's such a good quality player that I think that Bissouma should be playing for a big club. He has shown with Brighton, he is exceptionally skillful. He has the strength, and he reminds me of a player who used to play for Tottenham. His name was Dembele, and I don't know if you guys do remember it. That guy was so superb. I remember him and Luka Modric playing for Tottenham. They were like out of this world, like the skills that they used to have, the control, the pressure that they used to contain. They could easily take on like 4 to 5 players and still take the ball out of that pressure hole. They were so good on the ball. And Bissouma reminds me of that. He is a good tackler. He can go through players. He can put those skills. And it has been reported that Aston Villa would want to sell the likes of Douglas Luiz or McGinn and go in for Bissouma. But the catch over here is that Antonio Conte also likes Bissouma. So Antonio Conte, once he's done with his fullbacks, he will be in for Bissouma. And for that reason, Aston Villa can't waste any time. So it's going to be a 2-horse race between Aston Villa and Tottenham. But I hope that Manchester United would jump into that and they would go in for this player, because this man is of full quality. I do not know if you guys have watched much of the game for Bissouma, but he is truly an exceptional player. But let's see what happens going down forward in the line. Yes, that's true. What I think is that, United have come into a phase. They can't think that, oh, we need a Paul Pogba. We need somebody like in the caliber of Verratti. We don't, I know that you need somebody who's a world-class player, but if you don't have the basics, if you don't have the fundamentals, it doesn't work like that. Now, if I was United manager, like I'm just saying hypothetically, my first focal point would be to get a defensive midfielder. Now, if I can't get a world-class defensive midfielder as Tchouaméni because he's going to cost me 80 million to 100 million, then I shouldn't be in my job. But because if I think that it's a restraint to spend that much amount of money on one player and not focusing on other areas of the pitch, then everybody would call me a bad manager. So there should be a balance between that. The perfect balance is that you go out for a player like Bissouma and you go and get somebody like maybe an Eriksen or maybe somebody like Frankie de Jong for lesser money, because then that will be a perfect balance. Because you will have a good defensive midfielder who has played in the league already. You will have a world-class passer of the ball, the carrier of the ball in Frankie de Jong or Eriksen, and that will give you the perfect balance. And it will also give you the confidence because you will be spoiled for having 3 good players instead of 1. So I think United need to think in that manner, that way they can get most out of it, more efficiently out of it. You can't think that, if we get this player and perhaps maybe we'll wait for next year. It doesn't work like that. Now, the news which I did report in that new channel of mine that I've started with Manchester United was Laurie Whitehall, he did reported this news that Manchester United are looking for Jude Bellingham next season. Now, Jude Bellingham is going to cost you about 120 million. I don't mind that. You could go out and get Jude Bellingham. But then you're still not addressing the correct question. You're not getting the defensive midfielder. So with United, there's so many wrongs and there's so many ifs and buts. But let's see what Erik ten Hag does. How does he do it? And that's one to be found out. But that's what it is with Manchester United. Now, guys, what I would want you guys to do is that if you guys can give me any questions that you think that I should be answering, that if you would want me to discuss about, you can let me know. If there any other player that you guys want to talk about, I would be willing to do that. I would be willing to take your questions, and it could be regarding anything to do with transfer budget. You could give me your suggestion. What do you think for your own club, for any player do you think is going to be, or we can do some ratings on that transfer. Do you think there's any better replacement? You guys can give me any suggestion, and you can let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think who should your club be targeting? And you can give in your opinion and we can discuss it about over here. And I would be willing to do that, because any news on Pickford, not so far, still on international duty. I think Frank Lampard is also waiting for this international break to be finished, and then maybe perhaps we'll get some news on him. There was a very good argument going on right now that if you have to see if Pickford and Ramsdale, who is the better out of those two for England, right? Now, people would say Pickford didn't have a good season with Everton, and Ramsdale is the currently better goalkeeper in terms of form. Now, what I think is the problem with Everton and Arsenal is that Everton don't have those good defenders as Arsenal do. Now, if Pickford have those good defenders, then that would be the real test of him. But if you would pitch him with bad defenders and you expect him that to give that kind of performance, no goalkeeper would. I think Pickford deserves to have better defenders in front of him. I think that's what should Frank Lampard do, is try to target those good defenders, and that's what his focus should be. Because the moment you stop those goals, you stop conceding goals, that's the first base. That's the first fundamental to build a team. And I think Frank Lampard should be focusing on that area to get better defenders, so that they have a solid base, and then they can work out through midfield and then going up front. Because Everton, they had the best attacking side, that's what I think, in Calvert-Lewin as well as Richarlison. And right now I think if they lose both Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, Everton will have to think outside the box. They will have to get other players, and that's what I think, that Everton should work upon defense. They had a lucky escape, and they shouldn't be in that relegation fight again next season. They better get this transfer strategy correct. They better get their buys correct. They better get their sales correct. And if they start with that, then Frank Lampard needs to produce that on the pitch. And what makes his job easier would be to get better defenders, good defenders, at least those defenders who are better than what he has right now in the squad. And I think Godfrey has the promise, but because of injuries, it doesn't help a lot. So Frank Lampard needs a player who has that good record of health and who is a solid defender. Once he has that, then who knows, maybe Everton could get better in the table, and season by season they could get where they are kind of challenging for that Europa League place, and maybe who knows later onwards. But it's too early to call, because Newcastle United are right now, their train is right now in full solid movement. They really want those players, and I think they're making the correct decision in terms of spending. They're not going for any other player. They do their homework. They recruit in a way that they do proper scouting. They don't go on, all right, you know what, we'll go and buy this player. You know what, we'll go and buy this place. No. They are doing proper scouting, and they're going at the right players as the right target. And if they feel that it's not the right man, they don't go for him. So that's what I think, that the difference between Newcastle United and Everton. So we'll have to be patient with Everton. Let's see what Frank Lampard does. We have to give him some time. And remember, guys, this is going to be a proper window for him. So who knows what he does in this transfer window. And I'm anxiously waiting what he does, in whole honesty. I just want to see him, because I've seen him being a Chelsea manager. To be quite honest with you, Chelsea is a different club under Roman Abramovich, because that club works in a different way. You know what, they just go and get players and they give it to the manager and say, you know what, I don't know, you cook me something and show me something. And that doesn't make sense. It's completely obnoxious. You need to speak to your manager. What kind of play does he want? What does he think? What strategy he wants to employ? And then you work on that. But this way of just getting players and giving it to the manager and say, you know what, go and get me something, I think those kind of managers are very far and few. You could say that Ancelotti is one of them, but that's one in a million. You never find somebody who's of that stature and can do the same stuff that you're asking of your manager, that, you know, I've given you some players, go and get me something. It doesn't works like that. It doesn't happen like that. That's just like one in a million manager who would be able to do like that. So guys, that's what we have for Everton. Hopefully tomorrow there'll be many updates. Now, I want to ask you guys one thing about the timing right now. Do you guys think this is the perfect timing? Or do you guys think that I should be coming a little bit late, because by then more transfer stories will be coming out? Or do you think I should be doing a third session? Do let me know in the comment section. And I would want to know, because I do know for one thing that the transfer news does tends to come in around like between 8 to 11 or 8 to 12 sometimes. And right now the agents, they are working overtime, so hopefully we will get to see what happens. But I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Dinba, for tuning in today morning, and in the evening I'm sure that you'll be tuning in tomorrow as well. I'll be definitely coming at 10 a.m. guys. So guys, please do tune in tomorrow morning 10 a.m. GMT at UK time. I'll be right there for the transfer news update, and I'm sure that you guys will be there as well about 4 p.m. No problem. I'll see if I can do the 5 p.m. one, because I would like to do that night session, because by that time so many transfer stories are building up and so many journalists are reporting in. So I'm going to work out for the third time session, and most probably I will announce it tomorrow when I'm going to do it. So no problem, you guys can tune in. And thank you, Dinba, for tuning in today. And hopefully, guys, I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice one, and see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.